Hi, Allison. Thank you for your feedback. I really liked it, and I think you had a lot of great things to say. Um, it really did help me see. Well, one, I do feel more confident with my lesson from your feedback, and then also from teaching it. And so I have a lot more of like actual experience of what actually happened and everything with what you said, and a lot of it did match up. So one of the first things you mentioned was having a hands-on experience. And you said like the lesson was overall really like hands on, and I think that's true. Like that's what I was really going for, especially with ELLs, because Wright mentions in chapter 10 that especially with science, students need hands on activities because it's gonna make it like real world experiences, and they're gonna be able to really apply what they're learning. And it's a great way to provide like rich language opportunities because whenever students hear like rotate, then they're going to have the opportunity to actually rotate, and same with revolve and things like that. And science is a great time to do that because science is all about what's going on in the real world, and it's easy to apply that, whereas in writing it may not be as easy to apply what a simile is. So another thing you mentioned, sorry, I have my notes right here, is that students were allowed to use their native languages through some of the portions of the lesson. And I was really going for that because, like you said, it helps them feel more confident because I've worked with certain students who speak a lot of Spanish. And when they had the opportunity to speak or like speak Spanish for a little bit to like get their thoughts across to their partner, and then have like a minute to really cultivate how they're going to say that in English and work it out, they'll feel more confident knowing that they did say what they wanted to say in English to their peer, and now they're thinking like, okay, yeah, this does make sense. I'm more confident sharing my answer, and they'll be more willing to participate. You mentioned sentence stems, and I really think that will help my students a lot because I gave it to them during like the different portions of the lesson, but I really should have gave it to them during all portions. So I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm definitely gonna apply that. Um, but that being said, you mentioned how um, I should. You mentioned that there was like a lot of like language, like translations. Like students had a lot of opportunity to learn what one word was in English to Spanish, or vice versa. And I'm trying to go for that because I know what Wright says is that teachers need to ensure their science classroom is also a language laboratory. And I think I struggle with that a lot because even whenever I taught the lesson, at no point did I like specifically say this is this and go through with my students the language vocabulary. I kind of just like taught it as they went. And afterwards, like there was no focus on the actual vocabulary words for some of them, and so they got really lost in what, like they were learning the concept but they didn't know the most important words. And so during some of their assessments they would just say like the earth spins around in a circle whenever it's really core that they learned the word rotate and revolve. So I really need to focus on making it a language laboratory, and I know that's just going to come with experience, but I really need to articulate the language objectives really well, as Wright says, and provide like really intense language laboratory structure, like instruction and support to meet the objectives that I want my students to meet. Let's see. Oh, you mentioned implementing a closure or something like like a lesson review at the very end of the lesson. And I 100% agree. I tend to always forget closures, whether it's writing them into my lesson plan or actually doing them. And on this last lesson I did, I 100% did not do my lesson plan or did not do the closure. And even like my teacher kind of looked at me a little strange, and she was like, "Okay, if you say you're done, you're done," because she didn't want to like reprimand me in front of the students. But even she thought that I should have done a closure, and I don't know why it doesn't come that easy to me, but I definitely want to start doing that because I think not only like you said does it go through the lesson of a review of like we did this and then from this we went to do this, because that does give students more metacognition skills, I believe. But doing this will help them connect the dots between the activities, because I know that some students get wrapped up in the moment and they're like, okay, we're doing this activity and then we're going to do another like independent activity, and sometimes they don't see the connections between what they're doing. And then doing this closure may also help them see the connections between other types of activities that we've done in the past. So, for instance, they might recognize something else that we talked about, or in the future they'll recognize when we talk about the other planets orbiting and spinning. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, like Miss Launch talked to us about how the Earth and Moon are rotating and revolving around each other." So, I do want to implement a closure because that is definitely going to help with my teaching of the lesson and in future lessons too. And it will probably also help my ELL learners really get a concrete understanding of what is going on in the lesson. So, thank you very much for your feedback. I appreciated it, and I look forward to working with you the rest of the semester.